皆さんこんにちは。ニューゲームプラスとtranslate.
Hello, and we are New Game Plus, and we are here at
Tokyo Game Show. What's the year of the Emperor? 28? Is it 28? Doesn't matter.
Tokyo
Keep going.
Game Show, Year of the Emperor.
Yes, thank you. Hello, Don.
Hello, Jason.
Tokyo Game Show.
This year, not Timino, but we are here to the Tokyo Game Show 2016 to check out the upcoming hot Japanese and occasional Western video games.
Occasional Western. Surprisingly, we do have a lot of Western content coming out. We've got some interviews with the guys from Respawn, a few other things. But some big Japanese announcements. Super Peachy King, Koei Tecmo, new EDF, it's Christmas.
You can have your new EDF, thank you very much. I'm personally interested in checking out the follow-up from Persona 5. That game just got released, so interesting to see if there's anything on the floor. But
it literally came out today in Japan.
Yes, it is, and I'm very much looking forward to picking up my copy of it. But there's also Yakuza 6 on the show floor as well, Monster Hunter.
It's going to be great. It's going to be really, really good. Episode 200 as well, so it's a big celebration for us. I mean, it's just great being here in Tokyo, minus the weather.
Oh yeah, it is. You can't feel it. If you could feel it, you would essentially be in a swamp at the moment because it is humid.
The only way to describe it is ball soup. You can sense it, give it an MA rating, whatever, it doesn't matter. But look, I don't know. I think no more fitting place for us to be on our 200th episode than in Japan, considering our dedication to the weeb cause. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Well, not you, but maybe us.
Yeah.
But I mean, Persona is a big Japanese series. That counts, doesn't it?
That's my own special little thing.
All right. Well, look, it's going to be really exciting to see what TGS has for us. It's probably the quieter of the big three shows, but I still think that it has enough unique content that justifies my trip every day. Plus, I get to go to Japan, so fuck you, LA.
Plus, there's the public days as well, where everyone comes up. There's a massive cosplay community here as well.
200,000 people over the course of 2 days. Too busy. Let's just get some interviews done. Don, TGS.
200th episode.
Yakuza! I'm joined today by Dai Kawai, the manager of Omega Force Entertainment Division. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry, I'm not good at English, so.
I'm terrible at Japanese. It's okay. 大丈夫ね。
よろしくお願いします。
So, Berserk working with Omega Force, was it interesting bringing those two worlds together? Obviously, your long game development history, Berserk, a long-running manga, anime, pop culture. How hard was it bringing those two worlds together?
まず Berserkの
In fact, the most recent Berserk anime, the production for that was started, and we were actually approached by the anime production committee if you would like to make a Berserk Musou or Warriors game. It was actually their suggestion, and also in Japan, whenever users get on the message boards and talk about what kind of collaboration they'd like to see with the Musou series, with the Warriors series, usually Berserk comes in the top rankings. So knowing that players will enjoy this kind of collaboration, we decided that this would be a good chance to give it a try.
And the two series do work very well together in that. In the Golden Era, lots of battles with many enemies, very similar to Musou. Later on, when he fights into the Black Swordsman, lots more demons. It really fits really well. Have you found the two worlds mesh together reasonably well?
So for us, for the dev team as well, we have many people who are fans of the Berserk series. So even within our own discussions, when we talk about what kind of Musou we want to make next, Berserk has also come up in our discussions. So not just our fans, but also for us as well as the developers, it's something that we've been interested in. So definitely from that standpoint, we do think that it would work well together.
Has it been hard? Obviously, Berserk is a very violent series. Has it been hard bringing that into the gaming world and obviously not offending Zero Z and the classification boards around the world?
例えば日本ですとセロの D という17歳以上のレーティングにさせていただいております。
So in Japan, we've we're working on the game to get it at a 0D rating, which is for 17 and under. Definitely within Japan, it's the depictions of, I guess, sort of the cruelty and I guess blood, decimating of parts. They're very strict, probably compared to the West. So we did want to avoid a 0Z rating or Z rating, which is 18 plus. So this is something that definitely we have found very difficult, and it has been a big challenge to make it so.
Are you a fan of Berserk? And if so, what character would you like to have made a playable character, but you weren't able to?
私自身はベルセルク好きで、
I myself am I do really enjoy. I'm a fan of the Berserk series, and actually I was first exposed to it from the anime, and it had a really big impact on me. In terms of what character playable I wish was in the game, that's a really hard question. But thinking about it, probably Lancer, and he thinks that his he looks really he looks really cool, and then also the actions with the I guess spear.
その槍のアクションとか楽しかったかなというふうに思います。
Kawai-san, thank you very much for your time.
こちらこそ
So thank you very much for the time and for this experience.
今回のベルセルク
So this game Berserk, it is even if you're a fan of the manga or anime, but not really a game player, this is something that even people who aren't big game players will be able to enjoy this game. So we hope that you pick it up.
Now I'm joined today by Joel and Dusty from Respawn. Guys, Titanfall 2, it's a big game you guys are working on. Excited? You're at TGS, you should be excited.
Oh. Yeah, we're super excited. I come to Tokyo quite a bit, so it's great to visit here. But my first time coming to TGS, this is remarkable. This feels like everything why we make our games for consumers. It's passionate, everybody's electric here, loving this show.
Yeah, it's home of the giant robot, which there are a lot of robots in Titanfall. So
nice, I like it.
Yeah,
marketing on point.
We have one foot firmly planted in the Japanese anime and manga, and we're heavily inspired by that. But it's just amazing to come here where people really appreciate giant robots the most, and watch them react to what we're showing is really amazing.
And I guess that is probably one thing, because shooters historically don't do that well in Japan, but Titanfall has always done considerably well, especially considering it was Xbox exclusive, which it now isn't. Is you guys really excited to be able to bring it to PS4 and to bring it to these guys who are a big PS4 country?
Oh yeah, look, super excited to finally be bringing our craft to this region here. Excited to be on the PlayStation platform finally. There's millions of users that didn't get to experience Titanfall yet. I think the benefit for them waiting is that we've got a really well-crafted game this time. You don't have to have played the first game. You don't have to know anything about the first game or the universe. And we've got a great single-player campaign to get you ramped up into it, which is fun. I should note that actually Titanfall 1 was at TGS many years ago, and it won a future game of the show award.
And that was in a big year of games too. I was here for that.
So that was really exciting, and that really taught us that hey, we're onto something here. Let's continue to advance and get inspired more by kanji and all the other conjunctions here of the market.
Mm-hmm. I think one thing that came out of our tech test that we did was we were caught off guard by how many Japanese players were hopping on, and we actually had to start up more servers to compensate and accommodate the player base that showed up, which was, after we came back with that, we're thinking to ourselves, well, we're doing something right. It's getting into the right hands in Japan, and it's fantastic because we looked at going onto the PS4 as we're presenting to an entirely brand new community of gamers.
So I guess that is a big thing, because you are introducing this whole new. Whereas Xbox, it had a lot of time you've had Titanfall, you've played it, it's been out for a couple of years. This is a chance to do something new. Like, what are you guys most proud of that's new to Titanfall 2?
Finally, we get to do single player. Finally, we're on the PlayStation 4. Making Titanfall 2 and almost treating it like the first in a series because of, we wanted to make sure that since we are reaching out to an entirely new community, we wanted to make sure that it was something they could easily jump into, but also fans of the original could hop into as well. There's something for everybody there.
Yusuf?
Yeah, look, the single player really stands out. It's an action adventure story that unfolds in front of you. It's long, it's memorable, it's meaty. I'm playing through it right now myself, for the first time. It reminds me more of actually Half-Life 1. This is an experience that, as a gamer, people haven't seen for maybe 15 years in gaming. Each level is bespoke in different types of gameplay from the next, from pilot combat to pilot and Titan combat together to then you're exploring, you're solving puzzles. It's really a unique experience. So that's the single player. And then, of course, multiplayer, we've really honed our craft. Titanfall 1 was, we always said it was a little chaotic. It was cranked to 11 and then someone threw away that knob so you couldn't adjust it. So this Titanfall 2 now multiplayer is really balanced and handcrafted. It's memorable, it's repeatable, and it's learnable so that anyone can jump in.
Because that was probably one of the things, is getting used to the motion is perhaps the hardest part of Titanfall 1. It was great, it was fantastic, jumping from wall to wall to wall. It made sense in the
And that's what's so unique about Titanfall, right?
Absolutely.
It takes a while to get used to. Though.
Yeah, but you have to hone that kind of craft. So is that something that you guys had coming into it? Was it making it accessible but still obviously maintaining that complexity, especially, as you say, across classes?
Absolutely. A minute to learn, lifetime to master. That was the goal for Titanfall 2, and I think we've achieved that. Players like myself, who I grew up with Doom, Quake, Wolfenstein, of course, working on making the Call of Duties, Soldier of Fortune, etc. I consider myself a really good first-person shooter player, but it's taken me a while to get used to the motion model and the verticality of Titanfall. Titanfall 2 takes that away. It's a level playing field where I can actually learn and perfect my craft.
I think it's also worth noting that in order to balance the game and have with the Titans and with the pilots and with the weapons, we heard the outcry from the community for Titanfall 1. They wanted more of everything. They wanted it to be better. And so what we really did was go into Titanfall 2's multiplayer and start calibrating things and giving them visually, they would stand apart from each other, but also mechanically, so that the visuals informed you on what you're about to encounter, whatever. But their speed was calibrated, and it was all taken into consideration of how the motion models work together and what pilot has what motion model. But specifically, I think that even with Titanfall 1 being so insanely fast in some circumstances, that actually completely still exists in Titanfall 2. It's just a matter of how you string your character together. So there's the opportunity to maintain that frenetic. I'm using, I don't know. Frenetic is the better word, but those things exist in Titanfall 2, but it's much more balanced. I think I hate saying it, but I can only play Titanfall 1 for about an hour. I've become during the tech test and when we were internally testing, I've sat down for 4 hours one time just because I'm so into leveling up all my stuff. It's a brand new progression system and how you level up your stuff.
I guess the big question is, what's your favorite? What loadout do you rock? What's your personal favorite loadouts?
Right now, one of my favorites is I like the
talk about.
Yeah. Of course. Yeah.
I think
Damn, they're on me.
I've heard quick responses on tech tests where they're like, "Why would you ever use the Cloak Pilot?" And Cloak Pilot is my favorite because a lot of people like to use the sonar dart, and they'll throw in on they'll sonar an area and blanket it, and they're expecting to walk into a free zone where there's no one there, and I'm hiding there with my cloak, and I am just sneaking up and ambushing 4 people at a time.
Camping's legitimate strategy.
Beautiful. Right. But that's what I mean. So much work has gone into building counters to all these things. There's a weapon that has a counter to it. There's always a reason tactically to use it. You've got new Titans. There are tactical elements. Why one Titan is better in one environment than the other.
Yeah, no, it's and yourself?
Well, from a loadout perspective, I love grapple. Right, it's the number one item that was used in the tech test. I think people love the grapple. I think we've perfected it. It's a little bit part science, part art, part Spider-Man in there, and how you weave through and catch momentum. I think it's exciting. From a gameplay mechanic, I love this new concept of batteries. So that the Titans have batteries, and as a pilot, you can go up and you can steal the battery. You can actually go and give it to your Titan. You can give it to a friendly Titan, and that Titan will obviously get a boost from the battery.
Nice.
But I, as a pilot, will also speed up my meter for calling in Titans if I don't have one, or an extra boost. But it creates this new dynamic of gameplay amongst the players in the game that's really rewarding.
No, it sounds great. And one last question: is there still the mad scramble for the ship at the end? Because let's be real, that was. I remember the first time I played it in the beta. I'm like, oh man, everyone's gonna take this now because this is just so great. Running to the thing and like, oh god, there's robots after me. What do I do?
So I've seen some really killer moments where the ship is starting to take off and someone's grappled onto it and they're being slung into it. And the dropships do this cool new thing that kind of plays into the Titans, the Ronin Titan, and there's a phase shift pilot that kind of shares the same mechanic. But that there's a phase shift when you get near the dropship, you phase shift into it. So you almost kind of cross a parallel dimension a few feet and you pop in there. It's really nice. So you can have these really intense moments where people are scrambling for the dropship, but doing like insanely impossible moves to actually get in there.
Well, guys, thank you very much for your time. It's looking really good and big response here at TGS. And yeah, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thanks for your time, guys. Bye, everybody at home.
In Hall 9 of the Tokyo Game Show, right in between the virtual reality corner and the merchandise booths, is the indie gaming section, where developers, local and international, have all converged to show their wares. And I played through a bunch of games and I was impressed by a number of them, such as Line Wobbler, a 1D arcade game. You play using this really unique controller, this handmade thing that was made for the game, on what is basically a single strip of LED lights. You have you're this little green dot, and you essentially have to move up and down the line and navigate through the various enemies and lava. So it feels kind of like a carnival game in that sense, in that you expect to play through the levels and then eventually just win a plush prize at the end. But I'm surprised at how much design was that they were able to fit on one dimension, on one line. Also impressing me is Headbutt Academy, which is made for the PlayStation VR and other virtual reality headsets. It solves a problem of not having to move around using a controller, because it's on rails and you can pretty much play it from your seat because, as the name implies, you headbutt your way through the game. In that balls are shot at you for whatever reason and you headbutt them through to go through the environment, and we'll find out more about the game as it is released, likely alongside the PlayStation VR, but it is also a novel use of controllers. Also impressing me is a game from the Philippines, Lithium City, an isometric strategic shooter. It just looks really cool. It has this lit 80s neon vibe to it, which may be worn out if not for the fact that it was so well executed in this game. It's combined with the visuals and the soundtrack, and the action itself is extremely tight, even in its stage of development. You're just running around, dodging, and shooting your various weapons to destroy the enemy. So on a gameplay level, it's not particularly complex until you have to navigate through many enemies on screen. So you have to try and take into account positioning, your ammo, as well as the types of enemies and their various weaknesses. I very much look forward to seeing that game as it continues along. Also of interest is Mecha Zoo, which is basically kind of like a Sonic game meets Donkey Kong. It's a side-scrolling 3D platforming game where you can take control of one of three animals, an armadillo, a wallaby, a frog in the demo that I was playing, and you have to use their various abilities to get around the environment. Normally, I'm just going to say, I don't really like Sonic the Hedgehog, and it's simplistic, just run to the right until you win. And this game is kind of reminiscent of that, but there's something about it where it kind of works. It's the variety of switching up between the various animals to try to get to navigate the various platforms. It made me enjoy a Sonic-like game, which is impressive in and of itself. But that's enough from the indie games at the Tokyo Game Show. Right around, of course, is the merchandise booth, so let's get there, shall we? One of the bigger games at Tokyo Game Show was Yakuza 6. I come at it from zero perspective, but Matt, you are fairly close to the Yakuza franchise, aren't you?
Yeah, so I've been following it from start to finish. The series is about a decade old. Yakuza 6 is continuing the tale of Kazuma Kiryu, reportedly the last featuring Kiryu in the series. So he's made his way to Hiroshima with a baby in hand, and again, he is facing a lot of discrimination from the locals, and he has to fight his way out once again.
Yeah, so like the story of it, essentially, it continues very much from the previous Yakuza games, but like personally, I'm just here for the action, and some of the action is much improved. It seems to be much improved in this preview build, isn't it?
Yeah, so it does continue the traditions of the way you encounter enemies and the way you approach particular missions. A lot of situational awareness as well, so you can come across side missions all willy-nilly, and you can come across enemies seamlessly. So instead of jumping into a battle, waiting for everything to load, it jumps in, run towards a bunch of thugs and a bunch of Yakuza. You can just like wail into them straight away. It is all seamless, and some of the combat changes are for the better.
And the combat itself, it is just absurdly fun, as in you can just grab various objects from the environment, like a bike or even a moped, even if you're in full heat mode, and just thwack your enemies with them. You can grab them, you can throw them around wrestling style.
Yep.
But the thing that really gets me about Yakuza 6 is just the verisimilitude to Metro Tokyo.
Yeah. So the detail in places like Hiroshima and Kamurocho are absolutely massive. There is no surprises here. There's so much love just put into every single environment in the Yakuza series.
And like, there are times where I was just closing my eyes, open them, and just thought, wait, I saw this area yesterday. Wait, oh wait, I'm playing a video game, aren't I? Not to mention, like this is the first Yakuza game on the PlayStation 4, and it does look really impressive.
Yeah, so sometimes it looks even photorealistic. Even the motion capture as well. We're going to see a lot of Beat Takeshi involved, a lot of awesome acting, and a lot of awesome voice acting as well. So looking forward to this, but unfortunately to Sega, we're probably not going to get this until about like 3 years later. So
in the meantime, though, we've got these cans of Boss Black, so we might as well celebrate Yakuza in the best possible way. Cheers.
you done?
Yes, I am.
And thus ends episode 200, thus ends Tokyo Game Show Business Days. Donald, how did you find it?
It was impressive as always. It was good to see virtual reality in action and on a show floor in such a present form as it was here.
It was everywhere. Obviously, Sony were here in big thing, and they were showing off theirs, and there was Vive stands, and like it really like even the Japanese are embracing VR. So maybe I'll have to get on board eventually.
Not to mention, Tokyo Game Show has just grown since I was last here about 4 years ago. You used to just take up one side of the hall, but now they've taken up entirely the entire convention center. So all 9 halls on this side, all 3 halls on that side, and the arena for, food and rest.
Yes, you need that. And it was interesting to see that they did push the merch into the other side, because last year it was just attached to the hall. So, but the stands were bigger and better. Like KT were here in force, Sega were here in force. Everyone kind of came out and brought their A games.
Not to mention the indie corner, which is developed into a nice little system over on its side of the show floor. So many developers, like from Europe, from other areas of Asia, even some Australian developers were down here as well.
Well, and it is funny because I said 2 or 3 years ago, I said the Japanese indies are coming. Like obviously, 5 years ago was kind of the peak, the kickoff of the Western indie thing, but the Japanese indies are coming. By God, some of the stuff they had was pretty cool.
But we all got our picks of the show. Jason, what is your pick?
EDF, come on, man. Like, I got to kill giant frogs, I got to shoot ships. The lady went to show me how to use the buttons, but then she realized that I was enough of a loser to already know them all, so she left me alone. It was great.
Meanwhile, my pick of the show would have to be Yakuza 6, and I came with it with no expectations whatsoever, but it just left me so impressed, too.
You need that hokey Way of the Dragon. It does that soap thing very, very well. It does it better than anyone else.
I want to go into a video game and buy Boss Coffee. Just like my real life.
And throw babies.
Oh, boy.
All right, well, it's Takeshi Kitano. Hey, like, he does what he wants, whatever. Anyway, Don, I think that's enough. I think that's it. Episode 200. Thank you very much for everyone watching. I guess, you'll see us on the TV for now, but do not forget to like and subscribe and follow. We are at facebook.com/New Game Plus TV.
We are on Twitter at New Game Plus TV. We are on Instagram as well, aren't we, Jason?
Yes, we are, which is also New Game Plus TV. It's a bit of a naming trend. YouTube at New Game Plus TV. What else? Twitch, New Game Plus TV.
It's so much easier when Tim's here.
I know. It's whatever, man. Like, doesn't matter. Anyway, moral stories. Make sure you follow us. Watch our stuff. Lots of cool stuff coming out of Japan as well. And Donald, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Jason.